An empty room in the most visited museum on Earth. 9 months. 8 missing jewels. Nobody convicted. The 22nd of July, 2026. The gilded doors of room 705 open, and the Louvre lets the public back into its most famous gallery. The chandeliers are lit. The Delacroix ceiling has been cleaned. 61 meters of stucco, gold, and Gobelin tapestry, exactly as Louis XIV ordered it. And down the center of the room, where the crown jewels of France stood, nothing. No display cases. Not one. So the museum reopened its most famous room and put nothing in it. Every masterpiece has a past. So does every empty case. 9 months earlier, 4 men cut through a window on this floor with a disc saw and left with 9 pieces of the French crown. 88 million euros on the Louvre's own valuation. 8 of them have never been seen since. In the months that followed, France detained at least 11 people, opened formal investigations against 5, convicted nobody, and recovered not 1 stone. The only jewel that came home by accident. The thieves dropped it in the street. And this is the story of a decision taken in public. That the safest thing the Louvre can do with its treasures is stop showing them. The crown diamonds that survived, including the one the thieves walked straight past, are not going back into that gallery. They're going into a windowless strong room. Nobody will say for how long. Sunday, the 19th of October, 2025. 9:30 in the morning. 4 men in high-visibility vests parked a lorry fitted with a furniture lift against the Louvre's river frontage, rode the platform to the first-floor balcony and cut through the window of the Galerie d'Apollon. 7 minutes, said the American networks. Under 8, said the Paris prosecutor, Laure Bicou. 240 seconds in the gallery itself, said one French reconstruction. However you count it, it was over before 10 o'clock. They broke open 2 cabinets and lifted 9 pieces. The sapphires of 2 queens, the emeralds Napoleon gave the Empress Marie-Louise, 3 jewels of the Empress Eugénie, and Eugénie's crown. Then came the one mistake. In the rush of the escape, they dropped that crown on the pavement, and it was recovered dented. One of its 8 golden eagles gone. 10 of its 1,354 diamonds gone. The 56 emeralds untouched. On the 4th of February 2026, the Louvre announced a full restoration. Repaired, it said, but not reconstructed. That crown is the only thing France has got back. Investigators lifted more than 150 traces from what the men left behind. The traces led to arrests. The arrests have not led to jewels. And the first person to understand how bad this would get was the woman who ran the building. On the morning of the theft, Laurence Descartes, the first woman to lead the Louvre, offered her resignation. It was refused. She would offer it once more. Provenance follows the money behind stolen art, the heists, the forgeries, the rooms where a masterpiece changes hands in the dark. If that is the kind of history you keep, subscribe and stay with this one. Because 11 arrests later, the only question that matters has still not been answered. Not by the police, not by the prosecutor, not by the museum that reopened without it. The police moved fast. Within a week, DNA from the scene produced the first 2 arrests. One at Charles de Gaulle Airport, as a man prepared to board a flight to Algeria. Both were placed under formal investigation for organized gang robbery and criminal conspiracy. Both, the prosecutor said, partly admitted taking part. More followed through the autumn. A woman of 38 under investigation for complicity and released under judicial supervision. And, at the end of November, a 4th man alleged to have gone in through the window. At least 11 detained, 5 under formal investigation. And here is the sentence that has to be said plainly. Not one of them has been tried. Not one has been convicted. There is no trial date. Every person in this case is presumed innocent, and the investigation is still open. So where are the jewels? In January of 2026, Laure Becou gave the closest thing to a progress report. The questioning had produced no new elements. But there was no sign the jewels had left France, and the objective was still to recover them, possibly still in recognizable form. Then, in June, the case moved. According to the newspaper Le Parisien, phones seized from Eastern European suspects held over cargo thefts contained calls, movements, contacts, and photographs of the Galerie d'Apollon itself. All of it pointed towards Belgium. French officers went there looking for whoever might have handled the stones. Belgium means Antwerp, and Antwerp is where diamonds go to lose their history. Hold that lightly. It rests on one newspaper, which also reported that some of the men in custody would allegedly trade the location of the jewels for lighter sentences. It has not happened.
18 days after the theft, France's public spending watchdog published its audit of the Louvre, covering 2018 to 2024. It landed like a verdict. The museum, the auditors wrote, had favoured visible and attractive operations over the unglamorous work of maintenance, compliance, and security. In the Dented wing, the wing the thieves entered, camera coverage stood at 64% in 2024. 5 years earlier, it had been 51. 13 points of progress in half a decade. Over the same period, the Louvre spent 145 million euros on acquisitions, most of it from its own income. Ahead of it sat what the auditors called a wall of investment. 480 million euros of work needed between 2025 and 2034. The culture minister of the day, Rachida Dati, conceded a chronic and structural underestimation of the risk of intrusion and theft. What the museum promised next filled several pages. What arrived by the following summer filled rather less. On the 19th of November 2025, Laurence Descartes sat before the National Assembly and announced more than 20 emergency measures. 100 perimeter cameras by the end of 2026, anti-intrusion devices within a fortnight, a police post inside the museum's own grounds. The Interior Minister, Laurent Nunez, promised anti-ramming barriers by the end of the year. Some of it arrived. Bars on the window they had cut, barriers along the quai François Mitterrand, a mobile police base at the Carrousel from the 19th of December. The 100 cameras did not. Their deadline is the end of 2026. They were still being fitted on the day the gallery reopened without them. And one number here is yours. Since the 14th of January 2026, a visitor from outside Europe pays €32 to walk through that door. The year before, it was 22. A 45% rise, worth some €17.5 million a year, raised towards a building programme that has now passed €1 billion. If you go this summer, that is what your ticket buys. €10 more, and a gallery with nothing in it. On the 24th of February 2026, Laurence Descartes offered her resignation for the second time. This time, it was accepted. Emmanuel Macron appointed Christophe Leribaud, formerly of the Musée d'Orsay and Versailles, and it was Leribaud who decided what the public would walk into in July. A new beginning, he called it. The gallery had rediscovered what it was built for, a room of state, like the Hall of Mirrors, rather than a reminder of the theft. Look up, not down. The crown diamonds that survived go somewhere else. a windowless strong room elsewhere in the building. Among them, the Regent, valued in the press at €51 million on its own, one of 8 historic stones held back from the sale of the crown jewels in 1887. The thieves left it exactly where it sat. There is a name for this: security by subtraction. A jewel nobody can see is safe. It is also gone, so here is where 9 months leaves it. The room is open. The case is open. The cases are empty. 11 detained, 5 under formal investigation. Not one conviction for the robbery of the century. No trial, no date, and every one of them innocent until a French court says otherwise. Whoever commissioned the raid, if anyone did, has never been identified. And experts have warned since October that jewels this recognizable are usually taken apart within hours. Settings melted, stones recut, sold one at a time. That is a projection, not a finding. Nobody has found anything, which leaves the Louvre with the one thing it could deliver on schedule. It has restored the room. Go back to the doorway, the gilded doors, the cleaned ceiling, the 61 meters of gold. Every visitor who walks in now does exactly what the museum has asked them to do. They look up, because there is nothing left to look down at. Remember the number from the start? 9 pieces went out of that window. 8 are still out there. The 9th is back only because somebody dropped it. Laurence Descales was not in the room when it reopened. The woman who offered to go on the first morning was gone by February. The report outlived her. The cameras she promised are still being fitted, and security by subtraction is not a scandal. It is a confession. Louis XIV built that gallery to show the world what France owned. For a century, it did exactly that. Now it shows what France could not keep. No crime scene, no cordon, no plaque. Just a long, bright room, polished for the visitors, with the story taken out of the middle of it. The museum reopened its most famous room and put nothing in it. Not an oversight, a decision. And the visitor pays for it at the door. Next on Provenance, the 7 minutes that emptied this room. 4 men, a furniture lift, and the most visited museum on earth, robbed in daylight by thieves who walked straight past the most valuable stone in the gallery. Every masterpiece has a past.